Patriot.
Hello, and
Maye,
this
the
is Derek
quarterback.
Stewart live from the DC Stewart Show Podcast. We are live on a Monday morning. It is January 26th, and we are kicking it down from the weekend of sports, mainly the NFL playoffs, but we're going to be talking about several other topics today, mainly coaching searches, and things of that sort. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button because we're live and we're bringing you the best that we can bring you. From the DC Stewart Show Podcast, real debate, no ESPN script. So let's get this thing started and let's talk about the New England Patriots conference championship game in Denver during a blizzard. Tell me a little bit about what you saw from this game, Isaiah.
Yeah, and it was snowy, nasty out there, man. I think every stadium should have a dome in there. The way it looked out there, you could barely see the ball. You can't see the field, but know the hash marks and the lines and stuff. It kind of reminded me of that New England Dolphins game back in the day where they had to bring a street sweeper out there to sweep the field so they can kick their field goal. And ultimately, they did it for them, and the Dolphins lost. And it was nasty just like that. I mean, it's hard to get your footing, your hands are frozen, you can barely breathe, and it just was a really hostile place to play yesterday, and I think they need to correct this thing and put domes in every stadium because you never know where you're going to wind up playing. But it's always a plus for the home team if they're accustomed to being in that type of environment. But you take the teams that's playing the southern part of the country. They are accustomed to the heat. They're accustomed to the dry weather. But then when you get in the northern states, you got all the snow and the grit, and it's nasty. And it was just the whole country was almost smothered with snow yesterday. And just only South Florida was the one that was not affected to a degree with all the snow. You got Georgia and Alabama and places like that. It was enormous. Even Texas had, a nasty ordeal with the snow. So, man, that affected this outcome of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, this inclement weather has been getting worse and worse and worse every year. I just think overall that it's more scientific than anything else, and hopefully, we'll all adjust to it because the weather is probably only going to get worse before it gets better. And we just have to roll with that as a world because it's not just affecting the United States. This weather is bad all over the country. So, Najee, did you watch that game, the Patriots versus the Denver Broncos yesterday?
Yes. It was a very defensive game. I mean, nobody was scoring anything. The game finished at 10-7. And the thing is, the only reason why I feel that the Patriots even scored a touchdown because they got a turnover on that side of the field already, just right outside the red zone. So it was a lot easier to do what they had to do. Then next thing you know, they had enough space to get a field goal. They got a field goal, and when they kicked it, that was right before the little blizzard they had because I'm pretty sure it was cold already. It was light snow between the first and second quarter. The third quarter, it started to snow real bad. The fourth quarter, the whole field was just covered in snow, and it was blizzarding hard. Like as I'm looking at the game, I was like, bro, how can they see the ball when it's coming from a distance?
I know.
When
the visibility is very poor.
The Broncos missed like 2 field goals because of the snow in the wind. Because like I said, nobody couldn't score. So when you can't score, what you normally try to do, kick a field goal. They missed their field goals because of the snow. So they was already cooked from there. If they couldn't get into the red zone, they were not going to score.
Yeah, here's the thing, and I have a question because I'm a little bit curious as to should they play these type of NFL games in this type of weather? I mean, because I know they don't play in lightning. When it's thundering and lightning, they don't play, which makes sense. But when it's a blizzard or if it's that much snow that's coming down or whatever is happening during that game, do you think that the NFL should at least look into the fact that these two teams are going to struggle no matter what? Even though New England's from a cold weather environment as well, being in the Boston area, exactly. It's freaking cold up there. And the reason New England, I think personally, was able to come in and get some of it handled was because they're used to a cold weather environment. They practice in it. They deal with it. It snows quite often. If that would have been a warm weather team, you could. I mean, it was a wrap. That would have been a wrap. I think Denver would have eked it out, honestly, against a warm weather team, unless that warm weather team was extremely acclimated to the weather. So here's the thing, too. The two quarterbacks, and you know, the quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, he played at Baylor in his early college years, and then he turned around and he transferred through the portal to Auburn, and he's a good quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he subbed, you know, fine in terms of his ability to be able to get the ball up the field, especially in the first half, because I was just going through, you know, information that I was picking up while the game was going on because I wasn't watching it. But Stidham showed up. Stidham did everything that he needed to do. However, it just, some of the things that happened, the missed field goals and things of that sort. And I think Drake Maye, he finally came into his own during the game. Do you think if Bo Nix would have played, Denver would have been able to get by them?
I think so. I really think so because after it really started to snow, they couldn't move the ball anymore. If the Patriots did not get those scores when they got them at the time of the game, they would have not scored yesterday. They would have not, because it was hard for the Broncos to score, and the Broncos was moving the ball a lot more smoother than they were. They just didn't come in the end zone because of the weather.
Right. I know
you just edged by a backup quarterback. That's just to let you know right there alone on the road.
Right. So Isaiah, as far as, because we both predicted New England was going to get it done. We both said in the last show on the weekend that we thought New England just had enough mojo to go up in there and do it. And Mike Vrabel, you know, we could keep talking until the end of time. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL right now, especially with the way he's got that team dialed up and with the pulse that he's created for that team, that they operate strictly on confidence and just outright mojo to show up, to be able to play the way they played in the regular season, and to be able to turn around and play like they played in the playoffs, to me, is really impressive. Wouldn't you say so?
Well, of course, man. I just admire the way they're playing now because they're clicking at the right time. And even though they played great throughout the season, they just really over their head now, the way they're playing. And it looked like those Brady years because you can predict how good they're playing. And if you make mistakes playing against them, they capitalize off those mistakes. And most of the time, they're going to get something out of it, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, or at least they'll get good field position because they're just playing great football. They're well coached, and the players are bought into the system. And you can just see it. You can tell that you got to come to play ball when you're playing those guys. But I think Seattle going to also win the championship though, because Seattle is playing much superior than everybody.
Yeah, Seattle just seems so much more polished, and we're going to get to that game shortly in a few seconds because I think it's really critical that we talk about the matchups that these teams are going to have to be aware of. The matchups on the defensive line, the matchups on the offensive line, and in the trenches. Because I'll say it again, it's whoever wins this trenches in this Super Bowl. That's how it's going down. That's who's going to win this game coming up in 2 weeks. Because you don't control that line of scrimmage, and the Rams is a perfect example of that yesterday. And I want to get around to them because I got a lot of concerns about the Rams and some of the things that happened that I saw at the very tail end of the game last night with the Rams. But to say
I watched McVay running up and down that sideline because he thought it was some questionable call in that game too, DC.
I'm pretty sure he did, but you can't rely heavily on the calls. I mean, we all preach the fact that
you can when they call the game on one side, you could definitely do that.
That is agreeable. I mean, that is agreeable. But the thing is we all know officiating is a subjective thing, and we don't know how these officials, what makes them tick and all of that type of thing. They could throw a flag if they want. It's a lot of times you see they supposed to throw a flag, they don't throw the flag. When they don't need to throw the flag, they throw the flag. So it's like it's like a boxing match to me. If you are in there against an opponent and you're struggling and it's a battle, it's a dog fight, you got to knock the other boxer out. You just got to knock him out. I think what happened was there was just too many mistakes, and we'll get to that in just a second. Drake Maye, I think, is going to show up for this Super Bowl, though. Even though Sam Darnold is one of to me, I'm so happy for Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold has been around. He's been to 5 different NFL teams, and he was a SC guy, USC, and I follow SC out here, even though I'm a diehard University of Miami fan. Sam Darnold, he put in his time, and he put in his work. When you say he put in his work, all the time that he's been in the league and to the point that he's gotten to now. And for some reason, I just thought that with the Rams defense at the line of scrimmage, they were going to get to him and he was going to nut up. But it didn't happen, right? He was getting that ball out of there. He was getting it out of his hand. And that's the type of thing that happened in that Seattle-Los Angeles Rams game. One thing is for sure. I think
that was a great game, though, man.
It was a great game. I think it was a great game. And the most important thing, I think, for Seattle is to just keep playing the way they're playing. It doesn't matter who they match up against. They got to play the Patriots. It's going to be Mike Vrabel is a defensive-minded coach. Mike McDonald for the Seattle Seahawks is a defensive-minded coach. And they're going to be throwing all kind of wrinkles at each other, I think, from the defensive side of it. And let's start to talk a little bit about this Seattle game and what happened from the very onset. Because like I said, I didn't watch the first half of it, but I did watch most of the fourth quarter. And I predicted whoever got the ball last was going to probably win this game. And it looked like Seattle ended up getting the ball last. Am I right, Najee?
Yeah. They scored the ball last, but the Rams had the ball last.
Well, technically the Rams had the ball last, but they pissed it off to Seattle. So that's the analogy that I'm using right here. They gave it back to Seattle. And some of what I was concerned about, man, I love me some Matthew Stafford, bro. I love me some Matthew Stafford. However, it's just getting to a point now where the Rams, Les Snead and Sean McVay going to have to make a decision. Do you want to keep rolling with Matthew Stafford, or do you want to get a quarterback through free agency or in the draft? I'm going to start with you first, Isaiah. Who do you think the Rams should be looking forward to trying to secure for a future quarterback for that franchise?
Well, there's a bunch of them coming out of college this coming up season. You got your Heisman Trophy winners going to be coming out. There's multiple quarterbacks coming out. But I don't know, man. Stafford is a guy who I think he holds the ball too long. He's not that fast, and he try to wait till these guys get open, and he have sometimes guys open underneath, but he want to go for the long pass, and then he get caught holding the ball and get sacked, because I've seen that numerous times where he could have got rid of the ball and he tried to wait until the guys who was downfield open up and wind up getting sacked. So I think that's something where he need to start watching some film and start checking off and seeing those guys underneath that's open and quit trying to go for the big gain, and I call it the whole hog. You're trying to eat everything by throwing the bomb down the field. But he got a lot of folks that was underneath, and sometimes his running backs will veer out from the backfield, and he can just dump the ball off to them. But he will be too busy looking downfield to try to go for the big throw downfield.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, and I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing that stuck out to me the most is when the Rams was driving down to score a touchdown, he stood there like he just didn't have any legs to run with at all. He stood there. I mean, I counted 1 second, 2 1 second, 3 1 second, 4 1 second, and there was receivers that was trying to break into open, to get open. But when you see a situation like that, he had the whole side of the right side of the field to get a first down, because all they needed was a first down.
That's all they needed. And
all they needed was a first down. You don't go for the jugular when you're trying to get a first down. That's the way I see it. And he did
it's
just the
about
opposite of
advancing the
what Sam
ball.
Darnold did yesterday. Sam Darnold made all the right decisions, and it seems like Matthew Stafford just ran into one roadblock after another trying to figure out how to get the ball down the field. Now, give him credit. I'm going to give him credit when it's due. He threw some strikes last night as well. He threw that strike to Devontae Adams. He was throwing strikes to Puka Nacua. He was throwing strikes to the Rams tight ends, and he, for the most part of the game, I think he did okay. I'm not gonna just completely just write him
We're
off
not
in this
bashing him.
game.
I'm just saying there's opportunity that he missed. You know, he threw some really good passes, and he's a good passer.
Yeah.
You know, overall. But you know, Devontae Adams caught some magnificent catches on the sideline, man.
Oh yes,
I
he
didn't think he
did.
was going to catch up with some of those balls, but man, the way he came up with those catches, I was like, wow, man. And sometimes he's quiet and he'll come in and hurt you. But yeah, getting back to Matthew Stafford, man, he just he could throw the ball well, but those missed opportunities to keep the ball in motion to get a first down is where I have an issue with, because, like you said, he stood back there sometime where he could have ran for those 7 to 8 yards and get a first down and wind up having to punt the ball. And that's the thing that I have a problem with. The passing is okay, but when you see an opening where you can go run and get those 7 to 8 yards to keep the ball going down the field, is how you win games, man. You just got to keep the ball in motion. You can't be going for the big hog all the time when you can run for those 3 yards and get a first down and keep the ball going down the field.
Yeah, I agree. So, Najee, do you think along the same lines that me and Isaiah is talking about with Stafford? Because I just think he was the X factor. It was him versus Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, like I said before, he's been a journeyman in the NFL. I'm so happy for him that he finally got to this big dance. And I think Sam Darnold is going to finish it off. Honestly, I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl as I see it right now. New England.
That has to do something with coaching too now. Because
McVay is one of the best coaches in football.
Exactly. But I'm not down in school, but I'm saying, but it's sometimes it has to do with coaching, your personnel, and the quarterback in his quarterback style of play. Because I mean, you're talking about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's 27, 28, but then you have Matthew Stafford. He's turning 38 next month. So when you have 40-year-old players, they first thought is not to run so much all the time because they're using their brain more than their body. So that's a bigger part of it.
That's the experience factor, man. When you just feel like DC and I was just talking about that last week when Aaron Rodgers, you would think of a guy who's well into his 40s. He ran a lot of balls last week before he got knocked out the playoff. And that was courage and experience and wisdom he did that on, because he knew he can go get the first down. Why would you try to throw the ball down the field and potentially get a pick when you can get the ball down the field and get a first down and advance the ball? And that's what we're talking about. You just got to keep those chains moving down the field. That's what it's all about.
That is an excellent point, Isaiah. That is very, very to the point, right on point, because here's the thing. Matthew Stafford, Najee said he'd be 38 years old in this year. So since he is that age, wisdom should have just kicked in. You got the whole side of the right field. Now, Seattle has some fast linebackers. They would have got to him, but I don't know if they would have got to him if he would have just took off and start running for that first down. I'm just going to predict that he would have made that first down. They wouldn't have had to throw the ball into the end zone for an incomplete pass to turn it back over to Seattle. Down on their own goal line, almost down on their own goal line. They had to turn it back over to Seattle. Seattle literally ran a timeout on them. And here's the stats for Stafford. 22 out of 35, 374 yards, average 11 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions. 1 of 9 sacks, 81.5 QBR. And here's Darnold's 25 out of 36, 346, 9.6 average, technically a 10-point average for yards that he threw for, 3 TDs, no interceptions, and he had an 82.9 QBR. So they were pretty much even. The quarterbacks were pretty much even. I think a lot of it was won due to the fact that the Rams, listen. They got to get them. McVay's got to open up that offense for that running game too. Because I mean, they don't have a really horrible running game, but they're gonna have to step it up because it looks like Blake Corum right here, who used to play for University of Michigan, by the way, he had 9 carries for 55 yards against Seattle's defense.
Now, if anything, they running game need to improve because that's one thing I don't like is when you have your receivers running the ball like if they Ricky Williams or somebody, man, because Nicole, he runs the ball sometimes too. He'll run the ball
Nicole is a big receiver too. He's like Devontae Adams.
But I don't like it. But he already get utilized a lot already. They target him 11, 12 times a game. So all that running you doing, all that catching you doing by a freaking linebacker behind the line too, bro. He need to preserve his body somewhere.
So since you mentioned Puka Nacua, 9 receptions, 165 yards, complete stud. Ever since he stepped into the league from Brigham Young,
and he's injury prone. He gets hurt every season.
Yeah,
so that's the last thing.
That might be the only mark against him that I could see because everything that is thrown in his direction, him and Devontae Adams, but everything is thrown in Puka Nacua's direction. He catches it. It's like he's at playing sandlot football at the park. Because he catches everything. Devontae Adams, like Isaiah said, stud. Still a stud. Devontae's been in the league for a long time. He played with Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay. Then he ended up going to the Raiders because he secured his future with the Raiders with that money, with that bag.
He played with him. He played with him in New Jersey too, or New York, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. He played in New York, I believe, the Jets, right? So with all of that said, there is hope for the Rams going into next season, but at least I look at it that way. They got some hope, right?
Yeah, you got a little hope.
They just got to go back to the drawing board, and if I was Stafford personally, and I'm talking directly to Stafford, I'd just go on and throw up the cleats and just say, look, I've had a great career. I've won a Super Bowl. I've gotten all of the accolades I could get, to be in this league and to enjoy what he's enjoyed in the league since he left Detroit. Because, Detroit was a bottom feeder when he was there. They couldn't get nothing done, right?
That's wishful thinking, man. That's wishful thinking. It's just like you just think about Rivers. He's still flirting around this game. I mean, the guy was sitting on the sideline with a cigar on his porch. Now he's back out there playing again at 44 years old. You can't just say this guy should walk away. Their feelings and emotions are into this thing, man. And then he looked at how close he became to go to the Super Bowl. He was 1 game away. So that's another way of thinking of saying, man, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to try it again next year. So that's what is going to probably happen. I don't think he's going to walk away. It's only easily said and done, DC. That guy is not going nowhere. He just think he made a couple mistakes and then he'll correct them and he'll be back in the same position that he was. But this time he think he'll prevail and wind up into the Super Bowl.
Well, if they can't keep him clean back there, we're going down the same road next year. Who knows? I mean, if they can't keep him clean in that pocket.
We're talking about the trenches, man.
Right.
And that's up to the head coach to get somebody and surround them where they can keep him protected. Otherwise, he's going to be forced to pass the ball sooner than he really want to, and that's incompletions and interceptions happen when you don't protect your quarterback.
I agree. So I have one last question before we move on to the next topic. Does this Seattle defense remind you guys of them Rough Riders with Richard Sherman, Bobby Wagner?
Nah, they ain't that dangerous.
They're not as dangerous as those past Seattle defenses.
They ain't that dangerous.
They're close, DC, but they haven't got there yet, man. Because I don't know who was a better group of guys in that backfield than Sherman and the rest of those guys. They was hooded out back there, man. Them guys was straight hood thugs back there in
Thugged
that
out.
They
back.
was they
Yes,
was sharks that
man.
smell blood,
Yes.
and
Whew.
they hit hard too, bro.
They
Like, bro,
hit you, they'll
Oh
intercept the
man, you
ball,
you
they'll
said a mouthful.
antagonize you. Yeah.
Especially Cam Chancellor, and he retired early. He got out of there, but Cam Chancellor, for him to be more of a longer type of safety than a bulked up type of safety, he used to be knocking him out left and right. He used to be knocking him out left and right. So it looks like Kenneth Walker III, he had a good game last night. The running back, number 9. He had a really
Yeah.
good game because he's a shifty runner. He's elusive. And he's really kind of hard to get a good shot on because when you set up to try to hit him, he's kind of, I'm not going to compare him to Barry Sanders because that is just no comparison.
He's not a Barry. He's not a Barry. He's
got shifty ways that when he takes the handoff, he squirms his way through a hole. At least that's what I could pick up from him, even when he was at Michigan State. And he's hard to tackle and bring down.
He's a Barry and an Emmett. He's shifty, but he can see well. He see little creases to find his way through, man, and that's the kind of running back he is. Really good shifty running back that sees the field well. He knows his blocks. He knows what lineman's supposed to block what person, and he will take a lineman and push that guy right into a linebacker, and he'll cut off him. So that's a sign of an excellent running back, man. But he's not a Barry Sanders, but he damn sure close.
Yeah. So finally, to close this particular topic out, here's the top players that I think is going to be excellent matchups with both teams. However, you're looking at Sam Darnold for Seattle. You're looking at Jackson Smith in Jigba. He played at Ohio State. Stud. At number 11, you see how, I mean, he's like a ballet. He's like a ballet dancer when he run his routes, man, because he catches it and his form of catching it is perfect. I mean, and obviously to me, it tells me his hands are a lot bigger than the average receiver's hands to be able to grab that ball and catch it like they do, because usually the receivers with the bigger hands, they make the most catches in terms of the acrobatic catches and different catches of that sort. But I got to give an honorable mention to my man, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp literally got that first down last night. I said once he got that first down and he wiggled his way over that marker, Najee, Cooper Kupp is going to be an X factor against New England, I think. And the Rams let him go. Unfortunately, they did. And I thought they made a bad decision. But Devontae Adams came in and took right up, and took it to the next level. So these 3 players, I think, against New England's defense, how do you think they're going to fare, Najee?
But you know what? I feel like it's not going to be that strong of a defensive game because I felt like the Broncos is probably the best defensive team in the league. So he got past them already. So he should be able to be playing it more in a lightning, smoother type of offense for Drake Maye because he already went through the trenches by the best defensive team on the road in the snow. Now, hopefully, it don't snow in this game. Where's the game going to be this year?
San Francisco. It'll be cool up there at night, but it's going to be a great day.
But at least they will be able to see. So you feel me? But I feel like they will be able to go better against them. But the thing is, the Seahawks offense is way better than the Broncos. So they're gonna have the defense gonna definitely have to step up with the Patriots. The Patriots gonna definitely have to step up on the defensive side because they can run the ball. They can. Of course, you got your boy throwing the ball well. And then you have then you got Smith. Smith is like one of the leading receivers in the league this year.
Right.
So you got a handful. You got a handful. But I definitely put him over Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs been doing pretty well this season.
Yes, he has. When he's on the field, he does extremely well. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. So it looks like Drake Maye, Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte from he graduated, or should I say he went to LSU. He's a great receiver. And Hunter Henry, tight end for New England, is going to match up pretty well, I think, against Seattle's defense. Now, Seattle's offense is going to match up against the likes of Christian Gonzalez. He's one of the best, to me, defensive backs playing. He's a right cornerback. He's a shutdown corner. He sticks on the star receiver for each team that they play. And I'm assuming that he'll be lined up against Jackson Smith in Jigba. And who's going to win that battle? I'm going to pick Jackson Smith in Jigba as far as them two matched up together. But they got some really good players on New England's defense. So I'm going to go ahead and make my prediction. I got Seattle, and I'm going to say Seattle by a touchdown. You guys got any prediction?
I got Seattle by 10.
How about you, Najee?
I got Seattle by 4. It's going because I feel like it's going to be less than a touchdown, but more than a field goal.
Right. So, by the way, we have been joined by our friend and he's our guy. Freebird Tony, welcome to the show. Freebird he's leaving us some comments here, man. We can't wait to get you back onto this show. But, however, Freebird Tony said here, will there ever be any hope for the Miami Dolphins with the new hired coach?
Nah.
Jeff Hafley. And I know what Isaiah said on the weekend. Isaiah's wasn't too happy about Stephen Ross making this hire. So tell us a little bit about that.
Freebird, you should have heard me this weekend, man. I was going off about having a brand new guy out the box who never coached, been a head coach before. We did that 3 times. This is the 3rd time. You had Flores, McDaniels, and now you got this newbie coming in who never been a head coach before.
No.
Out of all those veteran coaches was out there. But, I'm going to give him a benefit of the doubt. The new GM brought in one of his boys, so they might have a great working relationship. So I'm going to see how it panned out. I'm going to go ahead and support him 100%, but I'm going to see how this thing works. I think it was a bad ordeal, but let's see how it panned out.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clarify and unpack this. Jeff Hafley has been a head coach before at the college level. He hadn't been a head coach.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about college. We're talking about a head coach in the NFL. College and head in
it's 2 different factors, correct?
It's not. Yep. And you see how many college coaches came to the NFL fresh out the box and they failed because they wasn't a guy who was already groomed and ready for that position. You bring them in here with no coaching experience and they get mocked. So that's the deal.
So it looks like he's been in, like I said before, he's been position coach and he's been coordinators in the NFL for quite some time. He was at Boston College. He ended up going, I believe, 22-26 at Boston College with the Eagles. He elected to take the position as a defensive coordinator with the Green Bay Packers, and I think Boston College ended up, going with New England's ex-offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien. I think he's still the coach at Boston College right now.
The Dolphins needed a good coach, a veteran coach, DC. We tried this already. We had Flores, who was a defensive coordinator on several Super Bowl teams. We made him a head coach. I'm not saying that Flores failed, but they didn't let him finish out his tenure. He got fired for some stupidity. But McDaniels had a clear opportunity. They gave him everything he wanted. I think they horse tied Flores. They didn't let him have what he wanted. They gave him a quarterback that was severely ill. Stayed ill. So that's what happened with that. So, man, we're going to see. Tony, glad you're on, and I respect your candor in here, but we'll see how this thing going to work. I just hope it goes well because I don't think it is. I think we're going to be in the same predicament we were in 10 years ago.
You think? Yeah. You really do think? You think the same thing, Najee?
No, he ain't no 10 years ago. You mean the last 50 years? I don't know what you talking about. They
Since
ain't going
Shula
nowhere,
left,
man.
technically, and at the tail end of Shula's career, he wasn't doing so well either, right?
I don't know what you
Because
talking
I know
about, man.
Jimmy
Trying to make it sound,
Johnson, he
trying to make it
spent
sound
some
like this
time
just
there as
happened.
well.
No, man, we had some
I tell
good
make it sound like this
games
just
in
happened,
the
man.
spurt.
Stop that.
It
Stop that.
has.
The
It
best,
really has, man. We
the
had some
best,
good.
the best,
So
the
you
best
just
thing,
forfeit Dan
the best
Marino's
thing
years.
that, the
You
best thing that,
forfeit Dan Marino years if you go as far as
the
50
the
years.
the best thing that was happening with the Dolphins that they had the Super Bowl in Miami, but they didn't participate. That's all. I don't know what you got going on, bro. They
You
haven't been
going
good
50
in
years,
forever.
man. That's dogging us out. 50
What's
years
Dan
ago,
Marino? What was Dan Marino best record with the Dolphins?
the Dan Marino went to the Super Bowl. They lost though, but they went. They went to the Super Bowl under Dan
What year?
Marino. I think.
What year?
I think he
I
was
want to say
7
it was
years into his career.
1985 or 86,
Before
one
I
of
was
those years.
born? That don't
I don't even
count,
think you
man.
were here, Najee.
I wasn't
No,
even born then.
yeah.
I was
Well,
I wasn't born.
that ain't what you said. You said 50 years ago. I didn't go to your birth date.
Well, I can't go about what I was not born. Hey,
Yes, you
that's
can.
a
You got
long
a
time.
computer
Long
and you
time,
got a mind.
man,
All of this other
bro.
stuff when we talk about basketball, you wasn't born
Okay,
in. He hit that on the
okay.
tee.
I apologize. I apologize. Not 50 years. It's been 40 years then since it's been since 85. 40 years.
See,
I
now
apologize,
he's
sir.
digging that,
See, now
DC.
you
He's
feel
just
better
trying to
now.
win. No, I
You
don't
feel
feel
better
any
now.
better. You digging, man.
Okay, so
Oh boy.
let's try to pick Stephen Ross's brain real quick before we move on. And I want you to start out with Isaiah to pick Stephen Ross's brain to find out what made him pass up Harbaugh. He didn't want to give Harbaugh everything Harbaugh was asking for, correct? He didn't want to match what the New York Giants was offering Harbaugh, correct?
Nope.
Could have been, because I'm gonna tell you right
Nah.
now, so many teams wouldn't have not matched that what the Giants gave him. The Giants throwed a boatload of money at him, man, and then they gave him power like as if he was a GM. So, and then they gave him $3 million more than what he was making. He was already one of the highest paid coaches in the league at $17 million, and then they gave him an extra three, and then they filled him up with incentives too. So many teams would have backed away from that because you talking about a guy who just got fired. It ain't
Yeah.
like he quit. He got fired, and you gave him a raise. So is a lot of teams just passed up on him because they felt like he's a good coach. I think he's a good coach too. But then I think the only reason why they fired him is because he got stale and dry. And, you can only be to a place so many years, and then your way of doing things is not effective anymore. So that's why they got rid of him, because you got a good running back, a great team, in fact, good quarterback.
They have a lot of great pieces over there. That's all they
Right.
really need is a better coach. That's all they really need. They got a quarterback. They got running backs. They got tight ends. They got halfbacks. They got a lot of great pieces over there, bro.
They
They got a
do,
lot of
but
great
it
pieces
was
in Giants.
his way of doing things was kind of outdated. It was dinosaur. It was
Hmm.
obsolete, and they was like needed
They
to
need a
make
new
a
face.
change.
They need
That's
another
all.
voice. They need
That's
another voice.
all.
They need another voice in
And
the
that's
locker room.
we're going to even see if that same thing applies to Pittsburgh. So we'll see.
That too.
Yep.
Yeah, those were some great valid points you made. Both of you guys made. So here's the thing with Tony. Well, he gave us the information. It's 1984. They went 14-2 with Dan Marino, and Dan Marino
Okay.
was one of the most deadliest quarterbacks ever to throw the football. Najee,
Yep.
I'm just telling you now. The man wasn't nothing nice. He was
No,
the
no,
type
no.
of quarterback that he
I
could
wouldn't have
throw
seen
it
him play
100
one time.
yards.
He was an old man by that time, but I seen him play one time.
And he would throw that ball up to Super Duper, Mark Duper, who was a receiver at the time. Mark Clayton, Mark Duper, and they had Nat Moore. He was an old
Yeah,
great
yeah,
dinosaur,
yeah.
but they had Duper, and Duper was a track
Matt Moore
star.
came up with a lot of clutch passes for
But
him, though.
Moore
He
caught
was,
all the clutch passes, and Mark Clayton would catch clutch passes too. Duper was the goal guy. He took the goal
He was,
route.
he was the one who going for the bombs on the sideline.
Right.
Duper was.
And Marino would throw that ball up, and man, just to watch Duper run up under it was just amazing to me. Yeah. We're going to have to keep an eye on the Miami Dolphins with this coaching, change, because they got a lot of work to do during the draft. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be covering that draft tight this year. We're going to be covering that draft for sure. And we're going to go to the combines as well.
Do you really think that they need young pieces? Because it's not like they have an old team.
The Dolphins got a young team now.
They got a young team.
That's what I'm saying. The team's not really old at all. The oldest person is probably
a young team.
Their team is pretty young.
Yeah, and they have some of the things I think that's needed. And
they got a lot of replacements that's needed to DC, because from what I understand, we don't even know if Tyreek going to be here either next year. Because
I highly doubt it. I don't think so. I think they're going to figure out a way.
Antiques and all that stuff, and it's just don't sit well with the organization. They kind of sick of him now, man. And then he was whining about so many other things, and it kind of rubbed guys internally the wrong way. So I think they're going to move on from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Najee, since you had all of that conversation for the Miami Dolphins, tell me what you think about Jesse Minter, who used to be the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, the LA Chargers, and the defensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines under Jim Harbaugh. And he was Georgia State's defensive coordinator at Georgia State University, which is very familiar to me because I lived in Atlanta. So that school is downtown Atlanta. They didn't even have a football team back when I was living in Atlanta back in the 80s. It doesn't seem like, do you think Bisciotti made the right call to hire Jesse Minter as the head coach for the Baltimore Ravens?
Yes, for the Baltimore Ravens, yeah, because just like we said already, that they needed another voice already to lead this veteran team that they have. Because I already told you early in the season, I said if they don't do anything with this roster, their coach is going to get fired. Y'all didn't believe me. I said, bro, they already not only they got veteran players that's getting old like Derrick Henry. The expectations is higher now because the first year, okay, you have an excuse not going to the Super Bowl because this is your first year. How often you put powerhouse names together and they go to the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl and win? Cool. So tell me, you have a year under your belt and you get worse? What you thought was going to happen? What you thought was going to happen, bro? You're going to get fired. You're going to get fired because you got aging players that need to win. Derrick Henry is getting old. You got Lamar Jackson that's just getting into his 30s. You have what's the receiver name? You have
for the Baltimore Ravens, a wide receiver.
Yeah. I'm going blank right now.
Well, they got Isaiah Likely, and they have Zay Flowers. He's a rookie. I mean, well, he's a second-year guy now, I believe.
I mean, that's running back. That's receiver. What's the other one? The older one.
Mark Andrews is another one. He's a tight end, though, but he's a hybrid tight end, kind of like a receiver type of tight end. I'll look it up.
And you got DeAndre Hopkins.
It's DeAndre Hopkins. He's been around for a long time.
But I'm saying that's another aging player right there alone that you need to go ahead and win now. You got him for a reason, and you don't get a veteran player like him to fall back into your improvement. So win now, or you're going to get let go. That's what's going to happen. If you get young players like you talking about for the draft, like you talking about for the Dolphins, well, guess what's going to happen? You expect mishaps and failures. But when you get players like that, you need improvement, you need progress, you need positive income out of it, not excuses and all that other stuff. No, you need to win.
That applies with coaches too, and that's what we're talking about.
And that's why I'm telling you. That's why the coach got fired. That's what I'm telling you. Because you don't get those type of players and fall back further where you were. You need to be better. It's the reason why you're getting veteran players. You're not getting veteran players to lose more and to pay more. No, you might as well just go younger then.
Yeah.
Okay, so Freebird Tony asks us, which quarterbacks do we like in this draft? And I got a list of quarterbacks here because
We already know
it's
the
going
one
to
that
be
just won
really critical.
a national game.
Yeah, so we got the number one quarterback being Fernando Mendoza, and I'm going to ask you which ones you like.
He's got
we got Ty
coming
Simpson
up
from
too.
Alabama is number 2. He ranked number 2. We got Trinidad Chambliss from Mississippi, ranked number 3. Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, ranked number 4. And Carson Beck from the Miami Hurricanes, which I hope Pittsburgh pick him up. But that's a whole nother conversation right there. And Drew Aller from Penn State, Taylon Green from Arkansas, Cade Klubnik from Clemson, Sawyer Robertson from Baylor, and Cole Payton from North Dakota State. So here's the top 10 quarterbacks. Fernando Mendoza, we all know where he's going. He's going to the Las Vegas Raiders. And you know what? I feel for him in a way because he in for a long NFL career in terms of running for his life when he get there, I think. Unless they do something drastically different. And Geno Smith's not going to be there because they more than likely going to short order him out of there since Pete Carroll's gone. Because he never really kind of got better in a sense for the year anyway with their record being the way it is. Najee, I'm going to start with you. Which is your favorite quarterback for this draft that's coming up?
I'm definitely gonna go back. I'm definitely going for the one that just beat us in the freaking the national game.
Fernando Mendoza.
On top of it, and on top of it, he went to school here in Miami. Why not? Why not? He's from Miami. He's in Miami. I want him to succeed and be number 1.
But I think what Freebird Tony was asking us, which one of these quarterbacks would be sufficient to help Miami if Miami was interested in drafting one of these quarterbacks?
Get the home one. Get him.
They ain't going to get him because the Raiders has got the best record.
They're not going to get him.
They're not going to get him. He's going number 1. No, he's going to be off the board probably 24 hours before the draft starts for the Raiders.
Okay, so
unless they can get 4 or 5 first rounds for him, and they may trade down, right?
Which they need to trade Tariq Hill to see if they can get a trade there.
He's not trading. He's not that valuable of trade bait to get a quarterback like that.
But I think that's the Dolphins' best asset.
Yeah, they have to give up everything to get that guy that early. They have to give up everything.
So where the Dolphins fall in the lottery then?
Well, the Dolphins
that is the best.
They might have like the 4th or 5th pick.
So here's the draft pick. Here's the teams that's going to be drafting as we see it now, because there could be a lot of changes between now and draft day in the later part of April. Is of course the Raiders is number 1. I mean the Raiders is number 1, and my computer is a little bit slow right now, so it's pulling it up. But one thing I could say is. Let's pull it up right here because my computer is acting really weird right now.
Ooh, the Dolphins all the way at 11.
They're at 11. Yes.
Yeah.
So they would have to do some heavy trading, just like Isaiah said. They would have to do some massive trading to get to a decent quarter. I think Quinn Ewers is going to be fine. I really do. Now, how they deal Tua off is going to be the next question, right?
You need to get rid of him expeditiously.
I don't get rid of him expeditiously. They should go in there and beg him to just quit because
you know what? They probably was trying to do that when they was baiting him about his concussions. They probably was low-key trying to do that when they kept saying, "Bro, just retire, let it go." They probably were trying to bait him to leave just with the concussion talk. They probably was.
No, that's wrong. Know why? Because during his concussions, they went there and threw $90+ million at him, man.
That's a Chris Greer special. That's a Chris Greer special right there.
What they were trying to do, Najee, whether you know it or not, they was trying to justify picking him, man, because they was trying to make Flores seem like he was wrong, and he was not. So they gave him tons of money because you got to remember something. he was killing it, man, in terms of statistics. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the league when Tyreek first came and they was connecting like crazy, man. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the league. His stats was there, but he never stayed healthy. He never stayed healthy. And that's when you also have to put a bunch of goons around him to keep him from getting hit because he didn't know how to slide, he didn't know how to fall, he didn't know how to do anything. And he would get hurt if you just put your pinky finger on him. So they tried to just justify that by giving him all that money, and he was injury prone. They was quite aware of that, and they just crossed their fingers that they'll have a healthy year. And last year was a healthy year for him. This was the first time he didn't get hurt since they had him. Yeah. He had a shitty season. That's what happened. Yeah. He just had a crappy season, man. It's just so many things happened last year. And ultimately, it was McDaniel's demise by that because he was the one get with Chris Greer, sit down and give Tua all of his money, and then he didn't pan out even last year when he was the healthiest. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to the matter at hand, and I want Najee to kind of break down to me, simplify, and you've already done it in a sense, but is Baltimore going to be competitive? And if you answer that question, we'll move on to the next topic. Is Baltimore going to be competitive? Does Jesse Minter is going to have to go in there and really work get with Lamar Jackson and they start gelling together, right?
You know what that answer is.
And another thing too, I think it's going to be critical who Jesse Minter brings in there as the offensive coordinator as well.
You know what Najee's going to say.
That too, but my main focus for that team is going to be the defense side, though, because their defense was awful last season. Because no team in the league is going to drop 35 to 40 points in football every game. So you need at least to have a defensive team that's going to bail you out 1 or 2 games out the season. They didn't have one good game, at least that I paid attention to, that they defense actually helped them do anything this season. They got blown out early in the season when Lamar Jackson was out. Every game that he was out, they got blown out. So their defense need to have some type of hole for them, bro. I've never seen the defense on Baltimore be that bad like it was this season. It was terrible. So I think, me personally, their defense needs to improve. Their offense is gonna come. Their offense is gonna come just with the personnel they have and the style of play they have. They're gonna get that. I'm worried about their defense. That's what I'm worried about on that team.
Okay. You know what? As long as everybody stay healthy on the offensive side too, right?
Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah, I mean, last season for Lamar Jackson, that was a freaking unicorn in the sky, man, because he never get hurt like that, and he got hurt like 3 times last season. That never happened to him.
If they were smart, anybody who come inside of the Ravens organization, they would take some of those old films where Ray Lewis and the rest of those guys was on it. They need to let them watch those films, DC and Najee. That's the way to build your defense.
Ray Lewis and T Sizzle, Carousel.
Oh man, they had it made, man. They had it going on. Those guys were, man, they'll break your neck. You come through that hole, and then the DBs was crazy too. So they had a great defense, man, and that's what they need to do. If they can have a defense that's close, you guys can wind up in the Super Bowl, man, because Lamar and he's gonna get you the points. He's gonna keep the ball moving because just like we were talking about previously with these quarterbacks just sit there and wait around for the receivers to open up. Lamar taking off running, man. He's taking off. He's not gonna sit there and see an open field where he can get a first and try to chunk the ball down the field. He's going to take off running. And see, that's why they advanced and have so many first downs, because the moment he see his receivers covered, he's taking off. He's not waiting around. So if you guys had a defense to complement that sufficient offense, man, you guys would be terrible. Terrible. It's terrible stuff.
Well, let's move on to this next topic. Okay, so let's talk about Mike McCarthy with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love that. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers selection of Mike McCarthy, and here's why. Mike McCarthy is a very well polished and well experienced coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's the type of coach that he wears a pencil or ink pen behind his ear. He's big on the details when it comes to his football team that he's managing, in terms of how he puts his personnel in positions to win battles against other teams. And this is my assertion of Mike McCarthy. I have nothing but good things to say about Mike McCarthy. A lot of people don't think it was a good idea for the Pittsburgh Steelers to select him. But as far as longevity goes, he's still young enough to be there for 15 years, because Pittsburgh don't change coaches. Mike McCarthy is going to be etched in for at least 15 more years if he lived that long, which I know he will, of course. And the way Jerry Jones got rid of Mike McCarthy at Dallas was horrible. I mean, the way he went about firing Mike McCarthy, because Jerry Jones is going to constantly continue to struggle. His team, at least, is going to constantly continue to struggle until he stops meddling. And once he stops meddling, that's when he possibly can get a coach in there to coach his football team to maybe the playoffs and to maybe a Super Bowl championship. Mike McCarthy is going to change the Steelers' way of playing on offense for sure. The Steelers has already got a defense. They already got a defense, with the exception that they might have to go into the draft and get a couple of defensive backs, I see, and maybe another receiver out of the draft, and maybe another offensive lineman. But that's the only thing that I see, and it's a possibility Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. It hadn't been said yet. So, Najee, let me start with you. Was Mike McCarthy a good hire for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I'm not the biggest fan of him. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I mean, hey, if it works for him, it works for him. But me personally, I don't think so, because I don't believe into him, not at all. And 15 years, he's already like what, 63, 64?
I think, yeah, but that's still young enough to be a coach, though, if you think about it.
Well, not the kind of age these guys are accustomed to having, DC. That's the part that I disagree on with you.
Yeah,
if you're talking about 5-10 years, maybe. But you're talking about a guy who's 60, he's 62 at least. And
yeah, I think he is 62.
Years, yeah, but you're talking about 15 years, man. That guy have on some damn Depends, man. And these guys ain't listening to no guy who walking around with the Depends on, with a bulge in the front. You listen, man. You wrong. You crazy.
So let me just justify this. Okay, 62 is still an age that if you took care of yourself, I think it's an age that you could still live at least another 10 to 15 years.
We're not talking about just living. We're talking about a guy who's the manager of a club where you got guys that's coming in at freaking 24, 25 years old, DC. Be realistic, man.
But he can manage those type of players because he did it at Dallas. What was different about Dallas?
Okay, listen to this. You talking about longevity. The things that he did at Dallas do not apply with today's guys, man. Don't get that twisted.
He's just only been out of football for the last several years. When he got fired out of Dallas, he was dealing with younger players.
You still missing the point. The point is the age bracket he's in. We're not talking about
I get it.
You just said you're giving this man 15 years.
I get it, but here's my thing, Isaiah. I'd rather hire Mike McCarthy than Jeff Hafley. So what's the difference?
Listen,
come on. You got either an
man.
extremely young guy that's going to be coaching, or you have a guy that's right in the middle that's got enough age on him to be able to sustain at least the next 10 years, I would think. And this is just my assertion of it. That's the way I'm looking at it.
My assertion on it. Yeah. Listen, man, because you taking it out of context. I like the hire. I like the hire
for sure.
But my point is he don't have no 15 years in him. He might have 5 or 10. But that's it.
If he does, he does.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is he's not going to do the Chuck Knowles in the Tomlin type of years. He's not. He's going to do the 5 to 10 years because he's going to be too old, because either one of those guys were in their 30s when they got those jobs, DC.
Correct. No, I agree with that. I
And
agree
this
with that.
guy's 62 already, so he ain't got that time limit. He got enough time to go in the Super Bowl and kick ass and then leave. But he's not getting ready to sit there at 70 something years old, man. And you talking about the stuff he did in Dallas? Those days are gone. He's going to have to come in there with some brand new, fresh stuff, and he'll probably win. But he's not going to be there for no 15 years, man.
Yeah, because he was just at
He's
Dallas
going to break the cycle.
in 24.
He's
Then
going
he
to
got
break the
terminated
cycle
out
of
of
the
Dallas.
longevity of the coaches, though.
Right.
That's what he'll do.
So let's
He'll break
change
that.
let's change the subject from longevity. Let's go on his track
Okay.
record and on his resume, and let's get to that.
Well,
Okay,
I
so his
agree with that
resume
part.
is 174 to 112 and 2, which is a very good winning record for a coach in any league for that matter, whether it's NFL or for any professional league. Now, here's what he's going to bring to Pittsburgh. He's going to bring stability to the offense, and he's going to probably either tweak that defense and make that defense better, or he's going to get the right person in there to coach that defense to make them better. And I believe firmly within the next 5 years, Pittsburgh will be contending for a Super Bowl, personally. How do you feel about that, Isaiah?
Well, I don't think it's going to take 5 years. He's got a couple pieces that he needs. That's it. Look how far they went. And you're talking about a team that was considered to be in disarray. And they're right there. But the only thing is, they need to bring another quarterback, and I hope the hell that Rodgers spend another couple years there so he can groom the next quarterback that's coming in there. You know, they got a great working relationship. So if he can keep Rodgers there for another couple of years to groom another quarterback, a younger quarterback, and then they continue forward, I think they'll be okay. And I don't think it's going to take no 4 years. A good coach, a great coach, and this is the what have you done for me lately type of factor, what we're in right now. A great coach can turn a team around within 2 years. He's feeling his way around the first year. The second year, he's kicking ass. I mean, really. Think about it, man. Because of the way the trade deficit, and this is not just NFL. This is even quicker in college. You can have a team in college, man, and they could be freaking 500 and go there and win a championship. We've seen that happen so many times. And with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's not going to take that long. If it takes 5 years, that means he's not doing his job because he's right at the brink of being exactly where he needs to be. You know, he's only a couple pieces away. So then if he implement some good tactics for them to go down there and win, because he need another quarterback, which he's got a starting good veteran right now. Bring a young guy to come behind Rodgers, and then put a couple pieces on the defense, and he's good. Make sure you protect Aaron Rodgers, and then put a couple pieces on that defense, and he's good. And the defense is already solid. So
Right.
I think they'll be able to continue within 2 years.
That's a great point. I think it's like I said before. The Steelers kind of I thought they did a good job by kind of like really going through and looking deeply into some of these candidates, and they did. I think they made the right choice personally. So let's move on to the current openings. We're talking about Cleveland, Buffalo, and by the way, according to reports this morning, Phillip Rivers withdrew his name from the list of candidates to become a head coach for the Buffalo Bills. What do you think about that?
Why?
He heard you on the show, right?
Yeah, because I was drilling his ass. Dude, that was gonna be a disaster, man.
Well,
Man,
I think
that was gonna be a
Phil
disaster.
decided that, look, man, I might just go back to Alabama and he's already in Alabama because that's where he lives, and continue coaching his high school in Alabama. That's probably his best bet.
He was coaching his kid, wasn't he? And
Yeah,
was
he's
sitting on the
coaching. He's
porch and
coaching. I believe he
enjoying
was
himself,
coaching one of
man.
the kids. I believe in
Man,
high school.
that's the life, man. That's the life to go out there in that ice cold in a team that's always up and down, and try to go in there and try to fix that. And you got money and prestige and so, man, who would do this? Who would go in there and get themselves embarrassed like that?
Right.
Man.
I thought the owner of Buffalo, well, he's an opportunist, and I guess he just gave Phil an opportunity to show interest and possibly interview. I think he did interview for the job, but he just asked to be removed as a candidate, which makes sense.
He probably went in there and found out how screwed up that organization is and took off running, man.
I think I think he pulled the trigger. The owner pulled the trigger too fast on Sean McDermott. I thought Sean McDermott held down that franchise for a long, long time, and they had injuries. They had all kind of stuff happening there. I'm not making excuses because at the end of the day, the bottom line is winning, not losing. But you know, if you're coming up short constantly every year, it's just a matter of time before you separate at some point, because that's how we talk about fate on a regular basis, right?
We talk about fate,
but that's what I also said, that this was the perfect year to go far, and they didn't. I mean, you don't have Lamar Jackson, you don't have Patrick Mahomes, you don't have Hurts. You have just about all the top tier quarterbacks you will talk about every year. They didn't make that. They either made the playoffs or go out to the first round. So this was your perfect time to say we can jump over this.
I thought it was Buffalo's time. You know,
I was hoping it was gonna say it. When they lost, I sit there, turn around to my girlfriend. I said, "Bro, they're gonna fire that coach. You think so?" I say, "Bro, they just got." Everybody that should have been his way is not even in the playoffs. He's gonna get fired. That next morning, I showed her the fire. I said, "Look, didn't I tell you? Didn't I just tell you last night?" I said, "I told you he was gonna get fired." I called him.
I didn't agree with that though, man. I think some of these guys pull the trigger too fast, man. And when see now he caught up not knowing who the hell he's gonna hire, man, because of
that too.
I don't know whether it's his treatment of how he run things, but you got to also look at yourself when you get ready to fire somebody and you think you're going to get a better person than you already have.
Be careful what you wish for, right? Be careful what you wish for, man. Because
you can be going in the opposite direction. Think you're moving ahead, but you'll be going backwards.
And if they want someone to actually be kind of like the example of it is, look at Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is they all these owners need to look at his situation and say, okay, he's changing coaches every 2 to 3 to 5 years on average. I don't think Schottenheimer's son is going to last there that long either. Brian Schottenheimer's not going to be there.
Let me show you what's going to happen. In order for them to get a good polished coach in there now, they're going to have to do the same thing that the Giants did for Harbaugh. They're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at another coach to get him in there.
Right, a good coach.
To get a good coach in there. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself getting somebody who's subpar, who's not that good, and you feeling your way around, and hopefully he'll do it. But you had that already, so you got rid of what you had already, man.
Right.
Yeah. You're dumb. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes people people get this thing twisted about people who's rich. Some of these rich people dumber than a mug, man. They think they're smart, but, they think they're smart because they might have been a genius at one thing where they make money. But then when it's decision-making on something else, because most people don't realize most of these folks that's rich, they got people underneath them, being the smart folks that's making these decisions.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. It's they surrounded by brilliant people.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think the 3 teams that really pulled the trigger too quick is first Stephen Ross for the Miami Dolphins. I thought he should have left McDaniels for extra year. Arthur Blank at Atlanta with Raheem Morris, and Buffalo with Sean McDermott. Those are my 3 that I thought these owners pulled the trigger too fast. Even though Sean McDermott spent like almost 6, 7 years with Buffalo. He was there for a while. But
man, listen, DC, I agree with 2 out of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
I agree with 2 of the 3, man. And see, now I told you I like McDaniels, but McDaniels is a guy who need to be an offensive coordinator. He's right where he need to be. He came here, he got the experience of a head coach, but he was never ever going to take this team any further than what he got them, man. Because first of all, he would have had to clean house and start fresh. And if he goes somewhere else, he would have to do that. And I think if he would have got a head coaching job somewhere else, he might have could have pulled it off. But here in Miami, he had already had his stay here long enough to let these people tune his ass out as being a little boy. He's already 100 and probably 32 pounds with little jumpsuit on, looking like he's finna go to the LA Fitness and shit. And then he kissed the two all in the head. So, dude, you can't coach grown men who's goons like that. And then when they make mistakes, you don't make them be held accountable for it. And see, he had too many people on that team see that he was soft. You ain't turning no team around when they recognize you soft. You might as well leave and go somewhere else and start fresh because you already made your standard there. And your standard is you soft. So you might as well leave. And that's why Ross had to get rid of him and start fresh. And then that new GM wasn't going to keep him there anyway. So he know that, okay, I'm going to bring a new GM. That new GM going to get rid of him because he's going to bring his own guy in. And that's what happened.
Right. Yeah. So the final topic to close the show down, because we're getting ready to wrap this show, is the positions that are currently open, which are the Buffalo Bills, the Arizona Cardinals, the Raiders, and the Browns. Out of all four of those teams, which do you think is the most attractive one for any coach to even consider?
Bills.
I think so too. I agree.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo is a very attractive spot. They have a new stadium that they're going to be playing in very soon.
At least not openly to the public. There's nothing toxic about them. You got Woods that probably led the league in rushing this year. You have Josh Allen that was just a regular season MVP. He's at least top 3 in quarterbacks in the league. Well, I mean, and then of course their defense is at least above average. So like, you tell me, why would you not want to be in that predicament?
I agree. And it's James Cook is a running back there. Dalvin Cook's brother,
yeah.
James Cook. Yeah,
Cook.
he's a stud.
That's what I meant, Cook. James Cook. Yeah, James
Cook's
Cook
a stud.
Yeah.
Bro, he does everything.
Yeah. So I would say the Buffalo Bills, and give me another one on top of the Buffalo Bills.
It was the Bills and who else?
The Arizona Cardinals, the Raiders, and the Browns.
I think the Raiders is the next one.
You think the Raiders? I have to disagree with you on that. I'm going to go with the Browns.
I'm talking about in terms of the location of where they're in, the weather, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about.
And they have a new stadium, which is Allegiant Stadium, of course.
Yes.
So you want all of that type of stuff together as a coach when you go the facilities and where they play.
Then you'll deal with everything else later. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to find out real soon, and I think these teams are going to probably more likely be hiring in the next 30 days, I would say.
They got them, man.
Yeah.
The draft is coming up. They need to make moves.
Absolutely. So that pretty much wraps up our show. I would like to thank everybody for joining us today. Freebird Tony, our number one guy, we thank you so much for the conversation and for your input. We love what you bring to this show, and we'll continue to love that. And, we're going to continue to do what we're doing on a weekly basis until the end of time, until eternity. We're not going anywhere. We're only going up. We're going to be covering a lot more events. We're going to be doing a lot more on the ground type of, coverage, where we're going to be talking to people, whether they're athletes, non-athletes, and the whole 9 yards.
The good thing about it is to talk about to the people like we did last weekend.
Exactly.
To see the folks in there and talk about and get their input on the state of their team and the weather and all these other good current events that's happening. So
we had a lot of fun, too. I had a lot of fun with you out there, Isaiah, at Hard Rock Stadium, and we were talking to Indiana fans. We were talking to University of Miami fans, and those conversations we had was just so genuine. We had a lot of genuine conversations with people, which makes a big difference with me because I love genuine
Well,
people, you know.
it was so nice. Najee, you missed it, brother, because we interviewed so many folks, man. We went down to Columbus High School. We went to Central High School. We went to American Heritage, where well, a lot of the players come from, good elite players. But more than anything, we talked to like fans. I mean, solid football fans, and young, old,
And these are the
disabled,
people that
everything,
matter.
man.
These are the people
And
that
it was,
matter. They bring a different dynamic to it, you know.
yeah, man. We were talking to everybody, Najee. It was so much fun because you would think that people who was not even engaged. You're talking about the parking attendants and people like that, and older ladies who was looked
Regular
like they were
folk.
in their 80s,
Yeah.
and they understand what's going on with sports, man, and it was fun. It was a lot of
It was a
fun.
lot of
Yeah,
fun. And they were coming to us.
yeah,
Some of these people were
hmm
approaching us. We didn't even have to approach them. They were
yeah,
walking up and asking us and telling us things about, their allegiance to a
yeah,
particular team and how their
yeah,
kids pledged allegiance to different teams, opposite
yeah,
teams. Some families were
hmm
split. You had one side pulling for Indiana and
yeah,
you had the other side pulling for Miami.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that was interesting to see as well. So we'll be doing a lot
hmm
more of that. I'm looking forward to the World Baseball Championships coming to Miami. That's going to be in
yeah.
Miami probably for a whole
It's in
month.
March.
But
Yeah,
when the semifinals come down to it and the teams just start to advance toward the
yeah.
finals
You
is
gotta come
when
on down.
I'll be back to
You gotta come
Miami.
on
We'll
down.
cover that.
Yeah.
Najee will be in Miami with us to cover that. We'll be right over at Marlin Stadium, and we're going to be covering a lot of stuff
hmm
over there. We're looking forward to the scouting combines for the NFL.
Oh
And,
man, that should be so fantastic.
yeah, we're possibly going to end up in Indiana for that one because it's always at in
Yeah.
Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Field Stadium.
Mm.
So we're looking forward to that. So we have a lot on our calendar and a lot on our, technical agenda of what we're going to be doing. So anyway, we'll close this thing out. Isaiah, you got anything to close us out with?
You know it. Well, listen, I always say this because I'm sincere about it. We love it, you guys, and you guys tell your friends, your family, and your coworkers. But more than anything, take care of yourself, man. There's a lot of things, heinous stuff that's happening around the globe. So watch out for yourselves and continue to eat right and run and exercise so you can stay here. Enjoy your day. Have a
Exactly.
pleasant week.
Yes, sir. How about you, Najee?
Peace and blessings, love God. He's definitely gonna love you. Today is the 6 year mark of when Kobe and his daughter and then the other seven that crashed today. Just want
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
to give them they
Yeah.
Yeah,
their
we'd like
moment
to honor Kobe
and
Bryant and his
analogy.
family for that as well. Yeah, because that was such a
Yeah.
tragedy, such a sad time, and Isaiah was the one that told me that morning. I was in the gym and he
He
told me, and I
he
couldn't believe it. I just
he,
couldn't
he
believe
called
it.
me out my sleep. He called
Yeah,
me out my sleep.
and
As a matter of fact, like I
Isaiah had
said,
the information before it even reached CNN and ESPN because it wasn't even on the ESPN
the
at the time.
radio and TMZ leaked it out first. He called me out my sleep because I've burnt overnight for the last like ever years. So he woke me up out my sleep, and I low key. I told him I apologize too. I low key got so frustrated because I'm like, "What are you reading? That's false news that you wake me up out my sleep." Then all I hear I hear it on the radio as he playing it loud. Then I get on Facebook, I see a whole line of rest in peace. I said, "Oh my God!" I said,
Yeah,
"Wow,
it's such a tragedy.
crazy."
But yeah, well, anyway, we appreciate everybody joining us today. Once again, this is the DC Stewart Show Podcast live featuring my kinfolk Isaiah, my kinfolk Najee. Real sports talk, real sports debate, no ESPN scripts, and we're here to stay. So y'all take care of your health, your spirit, and your mental spirit, and we will be back. Take it easy. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take care.